Well, folks, good evening to you one and all. And yeah, it's that time of the week, the time that we love to have fun with our sports and GT racing. Sports and GT Masters and Grandmasters Season 14. And I do think this is not round number 2. I think it's gone a bit further than that. I think we're right about round number 3 or 4 already. It's brought to you by Second Gear Productions, a commentary done by myself, Gary Fleming, from Second Gear Productions. And we are at Autodrome International de Algarve, otherwise known as the Algarve Raceway. And we are in the GTE class this evening. And we've got a nice, powerful field out there. The likes of the man that you see on circuit there right now, that is Mr. Luc Lucchese. His biggest competition is probably... Oh, he's just stopped. He's probably going to be Gerald Ferry, who is still in the pit lane, so we cannot see Mr. Gerald Ferry yet. Let's have a look at our other top contenders at this stage of the fight. It's going to be the likes of Leon van Wyk, Herman Lazarus, JJ van der Merwe. He had an exceptional session last week. Timothy Stanton. Timothy looking very racy this evening. Leonardo Beccari, Super Senior. He's going to come around to stick up a time. Oh wait, no, that'll just be his... Oh, Leon van Wyk has put a time up there for us already. So let's have a look at exactly how this one's going to play itself out. As the guys are starting to roll over the line, JJ van der Merwe provisionally goes towards the front end of the pack. A 138.97, 100 slower than that is Leon van Wyk. Then just 2.01 seconds slower than that is Daniel Lamprecht. Peter van der Spey finds himself just 0.05 of a second slower than Daniel Lamprecht, and a smidgen quicker than Leonardo Beccari. Sandro Beccari's presently on a flight, and he doesn't think he's going to get back from the airport in time for race number 1, so he might still join us for race number 2. It's possible. We'll have to see if he does get to join in with us. Herman Lazarus still to put up a clean lap alongside Timothy Stanton. Here comes Gerald Ferry across the line, probably go to the front row of the grid. Wouldn't be surprised at all. That looks like that's his warm-up lap. What's Luc Lucchese doing right now? He's a half a lap away. So both of them started a little bit later. They didn't start right at the beginning of the session. So we keep an eye on Luc Lucchese as he works his way around. He will probably put up a lap time that will put him directly to the front row of the grid. And yes, he does. A 1 minute 38.19, but don't count out Gerald Ferry. That's the one man that might just be able to turn the tables on Luc Lucchese. I must say, Leon's put up a very good time, that 38.8. In fact, Timothy on 31.84 and a 38.97. That's quite a crackerjack set of times that they've gone there, very close to one another. Let's see what happens. Does Gerald Fourie go to the front row of the grid, or does he go to pole position on the front row of the grid? Oh, he's on the front row. He's on the front row, and that by 48 hundredths of a second. He finds himself about 0.25 of a second, roughly, ahead of Leon van Wyk. Can Leon van Wyk get another lap in? Where is Leon? He's just starting a new one now. A 138.89, and you can see he's got his banker lap in, and now he's pushing hard. Now he's pushing very, very hard, is Leon. JJ van der Merwe comes across the line. Can he better? Doesn't add a lap time in there at this point. There is Neil. He'll still got a long way to go. Peter's around about the same area where he is. Leonardo as well. And Herman Lazarus. Now keep in mind, I have the ability to show you each of these drivers exactly where they are on circuit. Even though they are all, well, there's 4 of them that's pretty much in the same part of the circuit. They cannot see one another at all. Look, the Kizzy comes across the line, stays in that pole position. There comes Gerald Fourie. He's looking for about 4 tenths. 0.48. Can he swap to the inside line on that grid? Looks like, in fact, the outside line is the pole position, not the inside line, if we look at that grid as you come across the line. So that makes for some interesting stuff. The race directors determining that the advantage is to start on the outside line, on the racing line itself, and get a good run up down towards turn number 1. 8 minutes 48 into the practice at this stage of the fight. It's that man, look easy, that is the fastest. Then in there behind him, and that by 4 tenths of a second, is Gerald Fourie alongside him on the grid provisionally. Leon van Wyk, the being IT man, just 3 tenths. In fact, 0.31 as opposed to the 0.40. So Leon van Wyk closer to Gerald Fourie than what Gerald Fourie is to Luc Lequesne. The interesting part is that Timothy Stanton needs 300ths of a second to get himself on the preferred outside line of the front main going down into turn number 1, Primera corner. The interesting part behind that is for 1500ths of a second, JJ van der Merwe can also move 1 position up. He's on a 138.97. Leon on a 138.81. So not much that's required from JJ van der Merwe in terms of additional pace to be able to get himself up onto the outside of the second row on the grid as such. Where's Luc Lequesne right now? He will get another lap in. There is Gerald Fourie. He'll be able to complete that one. Leon van Wyk's going to be one of the guys that's coming through pretty soon. Peter van der Spey coming up towards the line. Captain Pete ahead of Leonardo Bakari. A 40.27. Can Leonardo pip that time? 140.72, and there's 1.7 seconds between the two of them. Leon van Wyk, can he climb onto the front row of the grid? This is his last gasp chance. He does a 38.8. Can JJ up his game? Nope, he doesn't go any further forward. Can Gerald Fourie swap sides? No, he cannot. Can Timothy Stanton up it at all? He doesn't need much. He doesn't need much at all. If you look at it in real terms, 0.05 of a second is all he needs to be on the preferred left-hand side of it, right there where he is now. 0.05, that's all he needs extra. As Luke Luchisi goes even quicker. There's just 23 seconds left to go. Daniel Lamprecht is still on a hot lap. How far back is he? Will he make it in time? Yes, he will. Well, with 10 seconds to go, Daniel Lamprecht's got the hammer down. Is he going to be in with a chance to make it? I don't think so. He's not going to get to that start-finish line in time. Just before he, as he gets on the line, boom, it all goes blank for him. Alrighty, Flo, you with Gary Geza? And I'm going to bring you the grid as soon as it comes up. There we go. Luke Luchisi and Gerald Ferry, both of them blindingly quick out there. And they'll probably be in a battle all of their own, if you ask me. I don't think anybody else will be able to compete with them. But the closest to them, Leon van Wyk, Timothy Stanton, and JJ, and Daniel, in fact, not far off them whatsoever. Bit of Anaspe leading out from Leonardo Bakari, the super seniors. And Herman Lazarus just a little bit further back behind that. So that is how our grid is going to look. As we just get them, give them a chance to get onto the grid. There we go. That's how it's going to look. For those of you that have just arrived to join us, we're at Algarve. We'll be doing battle in the GTE class, and it's pretty much all about the Porsches. A whole bunch of Porsches and one Ferrari that's in there, and that's in the hands of Leonardo, who actually went and practiced with a Ferrari, not realizing that at that point it was a situation of everybody else is in the Porsches. And by the time he realized that, he said, look, I've already done so much practice with what I've got. I don't think the right thing now is going to be for me to go and make any changes. I'm going to leave it like it is. That is the car I've practiced with. A big thanks to Induction Noise for their sponsorship towards this series. As they work their way around. Let's get a track map up. You can see exactly where they are. And a little battle box down there in the corner. Let's have a look at that front end of the field. Luke Luchisi and Gerald Ferry. That is the guys on the front. On that front row of the grid. They will probably be the ones that are going to get the whole shot going down into turn number 1. Neither of them will back out for the other, that is for sure. The calm before the storm. Well, if you're sitting in Gerald Ferry's car, you've got this lovely view in front of you. With wide open spaces. But if he looks back, haha, there's the whole Hungary pack. The being IT entry on that inside line in the hands of Leon van Wyk. Timothy Stanton directly in behind him. They just about good to go as we look down from the blimp. And that's where our Induction Noise blimp is right now. And they're getting ready to go. Look how they spaced out. Who's going to be the quickest one to get on the gas when the lights go on and then off? Gerald Ferry just ahead of Luke Luchisi. Oh, Gerald Ferry climbs on the gas just that little bit quicker. Leon van Wyk's going to try and dive up on the inside of Luke Luchisi. And it looks like Timothy Stanton is going to hold out. Yep, Timothy Stanton holds out in that 4th position. JJ van der Merwe stays ahead of Neil Lamprecht. Right up front it is Luke Luchisi. That is the man that is leading them out. Leon van Wyk has gotten past Gerald Ferry. That's the pink one. Oh, JJ and Neil have both gone, and behind them as well. I think that could have been. We'll pick up that one. Oh, it was Peter van der Spey that had her off there as well. We'll pick that up now. Let's just watch the first part of this. Timothy Stanton, you can see he's right in there behind Leon van Wyk. That's the green and black behind the one that's based on white, and that is Leon van Wyk, the being IT entry. And then Gerald Ferree in the pink one, and then the multicolored bright vehicle up front, that one be Look Easy. Now these four have broken away from the rest of the pack. There comes the balance of the guys now. There's Leonardo Bakari, and the blue car behind him, that is Herman Lazarus. Then after that incident, getting going again is Daniel Lamprecht, JJ van der Merwe, and then behind that is the recovering Peter van der Spey. Has Peter van der Spey been into the pits or not? No, it just took him longer than them to actually get it going. So Peter van der Spey got a lot of work to do from the back end of the pack to catch up to Leonardo Bakari. Luke Lukiz has just finished the lap, and he's the fastest man out there from that rolling start, the 140.749. Flying around the circuit from Gerald Ferree. Behind Gerald Ferree is Leon van Wyk. Then it's Timothy Stanton. Timothy Stanton doing a good job holding on to this lot. Timothy Stanton, he is flying, the fastest iRacing accountant in South Africa. Timothy Stanton, look at that. There's a lovely static view we get there. Leonardo Bakari going pretty wide. Herman Lazarus coming through there. Daniel Lamprecht. Remember 5.3? That's Daniel Lamprecht to Herman Lazarus. 5.3. That's the number that you must remember. Can Daniel Lamprecht close that one down to the back of Herman Lazarus and Leonardo Bakari? Timothy Stanton is the man that's very, very close right now to making any form of a passing maneuver. And that's on the back end of Leon van Wyk in the being IT entry. Look at that diffuser on the back of that GTE Porsche. Creates a massive vacuum behind the car, sucks the back of the car down, plants those gumball, soft, wide rubber back tires on the ground. And that all helps to get that horsepower down. Running up to 9,000 RPM in 5th gear, 6th gear. He'll run it close to the 9,000 and he'll hold it there just on the 9,000 marker. Drifts the nose a little bit. You can see there was a fair amount of understeer late on the brakes. Late apex there for Leon. Gives him a little bit of a gap. You got to fight these Porsches. They don't want to turn and accelerate and brake and do all these things without you manhandling it. But you've also got to stroke it at the same time. If you purely manhandle it, it's going to kill you. A lot of the top Porsche racers worldwide have said if it doesn't feel like your Porsche is trying to kill you, you're not driving it hard enough. I think that came originally from Smoking Joe Winkelhock, but I speak under correction as we ride on board with Timothy Stanton. Completely different line that he took in there to Leon. Leon went a lot wider. You can see how much stones there is there that's been thrown onto the track. So let us have a quick shofty what happened with that incident at the beginning of the race. See if we can pick it up. Wow, so that actually started with JJ van der Merwe. So JJ lost it, and in losing it, let's go take that back a little bit. JJ loses it. Daniel dives out to try and miss him. That takes him out of it. Then Peter van der Spey comes along, arrives on this scene that's just happened, spins in sympathy and goes flying across the track onto the grass, rolls right back. There you see Neil gets going, JJ gets going, Peter goes back onto the grass, can't turn it tight enough at that point, and gets it going from there as well. So that explains how that one played itself out. But talking about playing itself out, having a nice game up front is Luke Lukuzi. He's holding sway ahead of Gerald Ferry by just about 2 seconds. Just behind him, holding on 1.9, it's Leon van Wyk, and holding on to him is Timothy Stanton. If this was Formula 1, we would say he's within DRS range, because it's less than a second. Well, before they got to the brake markers, it was less than a second. But you see those fours, they go through, and just got a nice little shot there in the background. Of Daniel Lamprecht that was there in the background as well. So JJ van der Merwe is pretty close to Leonardo Bakari. He's up alongside Leonardo Bakari. Leonardo Bakari wants to keep Peter van der Spey behind him. That's the Grandmasters series. That's of more interest to him. Remember I said 5.3. He's closed down that 5.3 and taken another 0.3 out the other side. Daniel Lamprecht hits the headlights and says, hello, yeah, I'm coming. I'm actually fighting with that man that's just in front of you. Leonardo won't hold him up, but Leonardo can't afford to lose unnecessary time, because he's got a charging Peter van der Spey not that far behind him. Daniel dives out towards the inside. Leonardo gives him fair space and game, and lets Daniel Lamprecht go through. So Daniel Lamprecht, after 5 of a possible 16 laps, as we ride on board with Daniel Lamprecht, 7 minutes 43 into the 25 minutes after that first lap incident. In the next 4 laps, as we've covered, to where you find him now in that 6th position. Also takes a slightly tighter line going into that one. Doesn't make a big bow shape out of it, as did JJ. But we've seen some very good pace from JJ recently. Exceptional pace from JJ recently. And for Daniel to give him a good run for his money, Daniel's going to have to bring his A game, which he's doing right now. Oh, just feathering it through there. Came out of that corner a whole bunch better than what JJ did. Neil catching up the better part of a 10th and a half in that straight. You can hear that front end wants to wash away as you go through the first part of Portimao. Through Lagos they go. Now they'll drop down into the dip, over the rise, under the bridge, through that left-hander on the way to Torrey VIP, past 90-degree left-hander. Now it's that long run up the hill, blind rise, riding on board with Daniel Lamprecht. The first of the right-handers, the second of the right-handers over the blind rise. Now we come down to the left-hander, Craig Jones corner, back up the hill again, circumvent that blind initial entry into Portimao, back down the hill we go, solid left-hander, now into a past 90-degree left-hander once again, crank that wheel right over. Gerald Ferry's gone into the pit lane in that second position. Gerald Ferry's into the pits, as is Timothy Stanton. Through Sagres they go, now down towards Galp. And you keep the hammer down as hard as you can all the way through Galp and out into the front main. So that's what a lap looks like if you are on board. So Luke Lukizi is doing quite fine. Well, Gerald Ferry and Timothy Stanton have come into the pits. Leonardo Bakari has come past, and Herman Lazarus might get past them as well. I think it's quite a long run. There is the pits, there is Timothy, and there comes Herman Lazarus, and Herman Lazarus will go past Gerald Ferree with Timothy Stanton coming out not that far behind him, having not been into the pits yet. Peter van der Spey, who had to do a major recovery shot after he had that early incident on lap number 1. So Luke Lekesi, does he decide now to go in? This lap will be exactly the halfway mark for Luke Lekesi if he decides to split the race into two in terms of tire wear and fuel consumption. He's got no reason really to go in right now because he's got open ground in front of him. And he's going to go through Leon van Wyk. He's going to go through JJ van der Merwe and Daniel. Well, if anybody of these two is going to go in, I would say Daniel might go in. Why get stuck behind JJ? Unless you can use him for a tow for the high-speed sections. No, look at that. That's surprising. Completely opposite to what I was predicting. In comes JJ van der Merwe. Let's just see how long it actually takes. Forever and ever. 60 kilometers an hour all the way down the pit lane in a GTE. Everybody else is making up kilometers of ground as we just live this one with JJ van der Merwe. Stops and he stands for a long time. There's the Leonardo that's coming there behind him. Herman Lazarus is coming in as well. So the standing time there, you see Herman Lazarus coming in the back. The standing time is then not actually that much. It's that long pit lane entry that kind of kills you. So Luke Lekesi is the man that leads them out very neatly. Luke, Leon and Daniel have not been into the pits up till now. There comes Leon van Wyk. He's coming up to lap Peter van der Spey. Probably find Peter will possibly go into the pits now. Nope, he goes through and Leon van Wyk goes in. Luke Lekesi's gone in. Leon van Wyk has gone in. What about Daniel Lamprecht? Is he going to dive now as well? Very possible. Is Neil going to go into the pits? He's right up against the curbstone. It looks like he's going to go in. Neil goes in as well. So now the next trick is there's that man, Luke Lekesi, and then there's that man, Gerald Ferree. Who is going to be the man? Oh, there, Daniel's on his way in. Look, he's still standing. Gerald Ferree is coming through the last corner. Luke Lekesi's just pulled away, and I think he might take the front end. There's Luke Lekesi, and there comes Gerald Ferree. And I think Leon van Wyk's going to make it out in time. Just Leon van Wyk makes it out ahead of Gerald, but Gerald's on a flyer. Gerald's on a flyer. He fights right back. And Leon makes a bit of a mistake. He runs it a bit wide, and that brings Gerald even closer. Gerald's in a rhythm. Leon's just come out of the pits. Everybody is now being in and out of the pits. Gerald will be ruining that opportunity. He was right there. It would have taken just another 0.6 of a second was all he needed, and he would have come out in front of Leon van Wyk. But it wasn't to be this time around. Let's have a look at the pit lane times from the time you go over the line going in and the line going out. Luke 43.8, Leon 43.4, and Leon and Neil, they've got the fastest 43.4. Gerald Ferree 45.5, so he was a little bit slower. Now that's probably what made the difference. 43.4, 45.5, that's 1.1 seconds the difference in the total time from the time you hit the pit limiter and you go over the line for the pit limiter until such time as it kicks off on the other side as you go out of the pits. And that will be the difference between these two. On overall pace, there ain't going to be much. The fastest lap times that have been put up so far between these two gents, a 38.7 and a 38.4. So Gerald has had more over a single lap outright pace earlier on in the race than what Leon has had. He's going to have to use that now if he wants to get past Leon. They're both going to have to keep tabs on the fourth position, Timothy Stanton, because if they tangle up or slow one another down at all, Timothy Stanton is waiting in the wings for something to happen to give him that opportunity that he might just be able to close up and make up an extra position as such. Let's see if we can get an opportunity to chat to any of the guys. Let's see, where is our leader right now? Luke Lucchese. Luke Lucchese's got a little way to go. He goes through Sagres, down into the dip, going through into Galp. Luke Lucchese looking pretty good so far. Gerald Fourie came out just behind Leon van Wyk. He was 1.1 seconds slower in the total pit lane time, and that made the difference. Is that going to make it just a little bit easier for you if the two of them are very close to one another behind you in second and third?
Yeah, no, I think so. I think they're going to start fighting, and then, yeah, so at the moment I'm just trying to keep it on circuit. You know, constant, consistent lap times, not making any mistakes. Just bring it home.
Well, you got 7.5 minutes and 6.6 seconds behind Herman Lazarus at the moment now. So that's a nice run there for Luke Lucchese. Having a look at Leon van Wyk. Oh, he's got one hell of a job ahead of him right now. Leon van Wyk, he's got one of the two biggest hitters out there. Gerald Fourie all over his back bumper. And he's going to have to concentrate all the way. We're not going to take a chance and talk to him at this point. He's going to have to be on the tips of his toes because Gerald Fourie's right there. We'll wait until he gets out into the straight before we have a chat with him. Works his way now through Sagres. Goes down into the dip. Oh, running it very wide. Now he comes out into the front lane. Leon van Wyk, a bit of pressure there from behind, young man.
I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it all the way. Gerald's really fast.
He has
really
actually
wide.
He has actually got one of the fastest laps out there. We'll leave you to concentrate. So at this stage of the fight, Leon van Wyk needs every little bit he's got because Gerald Fourie is right there with him. He's even closer. You can see just by now having spoken to Leon, taking a slightly different line. It's taken a tenth out of his time, and that's brought Gerald Fourie right in there. Timothy Stanton just a little bit further back. He's still done a brilliant job, I tell you what. You know, you'd expect Luke Lucchese to be up front. You'd expect Leon van Wyk to be in the top 3, maximum 4. You would expect Gerald Fourie to be first or second, or at worst in third position. Timothy Stanton, some cars suit him, some cars don't. This car and this track combination definitely seems to suit him. So obviously had a little bit of time to do a bit of practice as well. And for that reason, he's doing a fantastic job at this stage of the fight, holding onto that fourth. Now remember, the man that's behind him, JJ van der Merwe, he was involved with that incident right at the beginning of the race and had to get going again. And because of that situation that JJ had, it looked like this. And look how long it takes him to get back on track. Now that's basically the 14 seconds that you see between the two of them right now. Because if you had to work that one out, that's probably about 11 seconds that they've lost there. And then add another 3 seconds for getting back up to pace again. And that will make up that 14-second gap that you see right now between JJ van der Merwe and Timothy Stanton. But JJ has got some close attendance, still from Daniel Lamprecht. Oh, what a lovely sound. GTE Porsche howling away. Not sure if these cars got flat 4, flat 6 motors in there, probably a flat 6. Gearing it down nice and smoothly as he works his way through that series of corners. Craig Jones, they go. Double right-hander coming up in a not too distant future. Ooh, I saw a bit of a lock up there. That was pretty tight. Through Sagres, down into the dip. Just keep on building that speed, keep on building that speed. Feather it just a little. Go up another gear, feather it just a little. Make sure you don't go over the track limits. And then climb on the gas. Run it very close to that 9,000 RPM. Just touching the 9,000 RPM. Perfect gearing on that car. I think they're all running pretty much the same gear ratios. It's Daniel Lamprecht putting the pressure on JJ. JJ locking up that inside front wheel once again. JJ's got the pressure on. Big time from Neil. Taking a different line coming out of the corner, not running it all the way towards the outside of the circuit, turn it tight towards the last section of the corner, try and get on the gas just a little bit quicker. Ooh, the back end started to want to climb out underneath him there. Through the dip they go of Craig Jones up to Portimao. Through Portimao they go now, back down the hill again. Up the rise on the other side. Through a more than 90-degree turn. And now they're going to work their way out into the straight. JJ van der Merwe, massive pressure as you come out into the front main. What's it like to absorb this pressure from Neil lap for lap when you're into the last minute of this race?
Yeah, he's keeping me busy.
Kind of late on the brakes going in there, but Luke Lucchese is already on his last lap. Riding on board with Luke Lucchese, Gerald Ferry is there behind him. And Gerald Ferry has got Leon van Wyk all over his back bumper. Gerald Ferry has just passed Leon van Wyk. And that on pretty much the last lap. Let's have a look, see if we can look at that pass that happened for... Oh, just ran it a bit wide and Gerald was there to pounce. Gerald was there to pounce, as always, putting it on the right line, making sure he's at the right place at the right time. And here we go now. coming up towards the line, it'll be Luke Lucchese. Luke Lucchese that takes that checkered flag. The next man to come through will in fact be Gerald Fourie, having passed on the last lap of Leon van Dijk. There you can see the man with the checkered flag waiting for Timothy Stanton, saying, "Well done, Mr. Stanton." Flagman has given him the honours, Timothy Stanton. The next one coming through will be, in fact, JJ van der Merwe. Brilliant recovery from JJ van der Merwe. Flashes the lights as he comes across the line ahead of Daniel Lamprecht. And then the next man to come through will be Leonardo Bakari, as he comes up towards the line, takes that checkered flag as well. And then Peter van der Spey just couldn't recover after that initial incident that he was involved in. And he comes up towards the line to pick up his spot. Herman Lazarus is one lap down. He decided to take it slow towards the end because he knew there was no ways he was going to be able to make it up any further than that. Alright, so let's have a quick look at that track map, the track that they've just been on now. There's your front main at the bottom. Turn number 1, Primera, you've got the kink and you go into Lagos. Drops down into the dip and then that longish straight to the Torrey VIP corner. And you can see how that one works its way through with a winding up and down. But look at that last corner from Sagres that you come down into the dip, up over the rise and then into the dip and through Galp, and it's almost flat foot all the way through there. Having a look at the points as it stands at the moment now, it's Gerald Fourie that came up in second position as opposed to Luke Lucchese that came up with the win. So that brings Luke Lucchese just a little bit closer. Leon van Wyk, that is behind the two of them, will remain behind the two of them. But Leon did end ahead of JJ, so he'll stay ahead of JJ. Timothy Stanton, having missed out that one race, is a lot further back. So even though Timothy beat JJ, he will not be able to make up a position there on him. And in the absence of Willem Botha, Neil Lamprecht will move up, and probably Herman Lazarus will move up ahead of Willem Botha as well. If we have a look at the Grand Masters points, keeping in mind that Sandro Bakari is not here tonight, Leonardo Bakari ahead of Peter van der Spey. Peter van der Spey having gone to the Samoa hill climb, missed out on a round, so he's on the 88. He does outscore Leonardo for this one. Sorry, Leonardo outscores him for this one, should I say. So he needs to beat out on Leonardo for the next one to remain with that 60-point gap between the two of them. But both of them will then be closing up on Sandro Bakari, who might join in for the second race if he gets back quick enough from the airport, because he is flying in this evening. A big thanks to our sponsor, and that is Induction Noise. We'll be coming back to you in a couple of seconds with the grid for race number 2. So for those of you that have just joined us, Sports and GTEs, and We are at Algarve in the GTEs. We are just about to start with race number 2, the invert, which puts our 2 super seniors at the front end, Peter van der Spey and Leonardo Beccari. Then Daniel Lamprechts and JJ starting ahead of the big hitters. If either of them gets away, I think they could cause a bit of a stir here, because Daniel and JJ are both pretty quick. Timothy Stanton, well, the good thing for him is those that beat out on him in the first race, Leon, Gerald and Luke, are all starting behind him, and he's got to follow through on Daniel Lamprecht or JJ and try and jump them as quick as possible. But having said that, Peter van der Spey in that pole position needs to do what he did in the second race last week, where only 2 or 3 cars got past him and none of the super seniors got past him at all. He's got to make sure that he keeps this one fine and smooth. He can't afford to get nailed right at the beginning and then lose out on beating out in the class ahead of Leonardo Beccari. Ground control to Peter van der Spey. Your nerves, Captain, are they all good for that pole position start?
Yeah, I'm gonna definitely block these guys now. So it's nice to get a clean run for a change.
Is that what you're seeing on the flight plane, Captain?
Yeah, no, flight plan is to stay ahead and hope that these guys don't push me out the way.
All right. Message to other drivers: please do not change the captain's flight plan. All right, let's go down to the sharp end of this one. Leonardo Beccari right in there as well. Now, Leonardo Beccari knows that Peter van der Spey is desperately trying to score top points here to make up for his loss to Leonardo and to make up for his missed event, seeing he missed one. Sandro's now missing one, so he's got to do a Sandro Beccari on Leonardo and win out in this heat. Leonardo, the only Ferrari that is out there. So let's get into the racing side of this one. Pace car is just about ready to move away. So it's Peter van der Spey that's on the right hand side. No, sorry, it's Leonardo Beccari that's on the right hand side. It's Peter van der Spey that's on the left. Then the pink and blue, that is Neil Lamprechts. The bright green on the outside is JJ. The green and black on the inside is Timothy Stanton. Oh, and hammered down straight away. Down towards turn number 1. It's Peter van der Spey. He said that the flight plane said go, go, go. Oh, Leon's gone. Leon has been, I think, well, he spun. I don't know if he got taken out or if he lost it all by himself. But either way, it's Peter van der Spey that leads out right now. Peter van der Spey from Daniel Lamprechts. Neil's there ahead of Timothy, JJ, Gerald, and then there comes Luc Lucchese. Now, Luc Lucchese was lucky that in the last event he had a situation where Gerald Ferry had to fight with Leon, and that gave just a little bit of free time as we see JJ move out of the way, and through comes Luc Lucchese. The back end of that group there, we see Herman Lazarus. They come up over the hill. Peter van der Spey still leads out. Gerald Ferry in there behind Timothy Stanton. Now, Timothy Stanton held onto the back of Leon van Wyk, backslash Gerald Ferry in the previous race. So it's not going to be easy for these two to get past that green mean machine in front of him. Now, Luc Lucchese will be very aware that Gerald Ferry is not going to have an easy time getting past Timothy Stanton. If Timothy Stanton is going to run blocking lines to them, JJ van der Merwe, I think it might have been a light touch from behind that created that situation. And Gerald Ferry goes through and he brings with him Luke Lukizis. Luke Lukizis going to go for that dive for the inside line. Daniel Lamprecht and Peter van der Spey are also very, very close to one another. Daniel's going to go for that inside line as well. And Daniel goes past Peter van der Spey. And Luke Lukizis gets past Gerald Ferry. And having said that, Neil's on that outside line. And can he... Oops! Gerald Ferry tips the back end of Luke Lukizis. Luke's got to get that one going, and now he only gets going. That is going to be one hell of a long run. It's got 14 laps. Luke Lukizis to try and recover from that one. Gerald Ferry just tipping the back end. Let's see what happened with that Leon. Yep, that Leon one. I think that one was a bit of contact that was there with Gerald Ferry. I think if we get an in-car shot of that, we'll be able to see if there was any contact. Yes, there was definitely contact with that one. Gets it up on the inside, just about out, breaks Leon. Leon moves across. Yeah, that's a 50-50. I would take that to be a 50-50 because he got right up alongside. Leon was later on the brakes, but then Leon did come across Gerald's line at that point. So I would call that very much a racing incident. Luke Lukizis doing what Luke Lukizis does. Don't get into the traffic. Dive into the pits and have open ground and then do your normal frequent flyer session from there on out. In the meantime, Neil is up and running. He is not taking no for an answer as he's right up front. He's got Peter van der Spey there behind him, and then behind that is Gerald Ferry that locks up that left-hand front. Behind Gerald Ferry is Timothy Stanton. Behind Timothy Stanton is JJ van der Merwe, but Peter van der Spey is putting up a pretty good fight now. He's got Gerald Ferry right in there behind him, and he knows that Gerald Ferry is a hard charger. But this is the kind of car that Peter van der Spey likes. This is the one that works for him. Big power, big tires. It's what it's all about. It's what he's raced on main circuits throughout South Africa. You name it, Peter van der Spey's been on them. He had his own Martini Porsche for many, many years. Now he's got the Juno that he does the SA Endurance Series with for 2024. Not doing it this year, maybe just do 1 or 2 rounds here or there. It's kind of expensive to do those endurance races. And Gerald Ferry is on the move. Gerald Ferry is on the move. Can he make that one stick? I think he's going to be able to. Yeah, he's already made it past. There's nothing on the other side as well. So Gerald Ferry has gone through on Peter van der Spey. Yeah, Peter backed out of that one under braking and said, I'm not going to go 2 by 2 with you. I'm going to back out of this one and make sure that nobody else can get to me at all, which is a good way to go. Now Gerald Ferry's got himself up into that second position, and Gerald Ferry is now starting to chase down on Neil Lamprecht. But Neil's done 4 of the 16 laps, so it's a quarter of the way through the race, and he's still in front of everybody and everything else, irrespective of who's spun, who hasn't, who's done pit stops. It doesn't matter, he's just up and running. But it does look like he's being closed down here by Gerald Ferry. The hard driving Gerald Ferry, corner for corner, inches a little bit closer. Daniel made up a little bit of space there coming out of that one. Through Galway go, just better that accelerator. 0.7. Oh, into the pits he goes. So not going to get into a fight and try and make up that position. The rest of the guys go straight through. JJ van der Merwe looking out to see if he can there come through on Peter van der Spey. Peter van der Spey in behind Timothy Stanton. All of them behind Daniel Lamprechts. Gerald Fourie is in the pits. Now, where is Luc Lucchese? There's Luc Lucchese. Gerald Fourie is getting ready to come out of the pits. Gerald Fourie is going to end up ahead of Luc Lucchese. There comes Luc. And Gerald has already gone through Primera. And in fact, he's even out of that camera shot. Having said that, Luc Lucchese just put up the fastest lap so far for this race, a 138.54. That is phenomenal. A 138.54. The closest to that is a 139.51. So that is almost a full second. It's 96 hundredths of a second quicker than anybody else so far. That's utterly brilliant. That is really, really, really brilliant. 139.51 on the last round by Timothy Stanton. And he's got the second fastest lap time so far. JJ van der Merwe is into the pits. Leonardo Beccari is going to come past. And remember, the next man now on track that's been in and out of the pits. There he is. Gerald Fourie. JJ's in the pits. And Gerald Fourie will be coming past him. JJ's on his way out of the pits. And Gerald Fourie goes past. Here comes Luc Lucchese, but JJ will make it out in time. So JJ is ahead of Luc Lucchese right now. And Luc Lucchese is clocking up stupidly fast laps. And I personally believe it won't be too long he'll be on the back end of JJ. Catching JJ is one thing, getting past him is another. So right now, Gerald Fourie in and out of the pits. JJ van der Merwe in and out of the pits. Luc Lucchese in and out of the pits. And running for his life, having not been into the pits yet, is Daniel Lamprechts from Timothy Stanton, from Peter van der Spey, and then Leonardo Beccari. And they've all gone straight through. Well, Daniel Lamprechts has gone through. Timothy Stanton's gone into the pits, which means Peter van der Spey is going straight past. Timothy's there into the pit lane. So where is Gerald Fourie? There comes Gerald Fourie. Timothy Stanton is still getting to his point to stop. There he only stops now. Here comes Gerald Fourie going through Galp. And Timothy Stanton is just starting to move, and here comes Gerald Fourie. I think Gerald Fourie is going to make it past Timothy Stanton. There's Timothy Stanton. There is Gerald Fourie that is on pace, and Timothy Stanton comes out into that second position, and that ahead of JJ and the hard-charging Luc Lucchese. Oh, some connectivity problems there for JJ as he runs it wide. Luc Lucchese pops up the inside. Says, thanks mate, I'll take that one, because I just noticed your buddy Timothy Stanton has gone and jumped the gun here as well. So now Luc Lucchese will go in search of Timothy Stanton. We're 11 minutes 20 seconds, 7 laps of the 18 laps. Trying a little bit too hard there is JJ van der Merwe, getting a bit of smoke off the back tires on that one. So Luc Lucchese is now going to go in search of Timothy Stanton. It's right on board with JJ van der Merwe. There you can see Luke Lukizi directly in front of him. And directly in front of that is Timothy Stanton. Well, I suppose it would be a stupid question to ask, but I think we need to check with Timothy Stanton. What does he see if he looks in his mirror as they work their way through Timothy Stanton? Timothy Stanton, quick question. As you go down the straight, if you look in your mirror, what do you see behind you?
Luke Casey.
Oopsie. No pressure, buddy. No pressure whatsoever. As he looks up and he sees Luke Lukizi behind him, he's thinking, oh man, why me? Now remember, he's only 3.8 seconds, Timothy, behind Gerald Fourie. Gerald Fourie's last lap was a 139.07. Timothy was on a 139.51. That's best laps. Let's have a look at last laps. Gerald did a 139.24 and Luke Lukizi did a 139.21. So there's only 0.03 of a second that Luke took out of Gerald Fourie. That is nowhere near enough if Luke Lukizi wants to fetch that man, Gerald Fourie. Daniel Lamprecht, the race leader, has gone into the pits. So has Peter van der Spey gone into the pits. Leonardo Bakari will be the next man as we watch the two of them. What happens now? Where is Leonardo Bakari? Is he going to be coming through? Leonardo Bakari goes into the pits as well. So now the whole trick goes about Gerald Fourie and Daniel Lamprecht. Daniel Lamprecht is on his way and he has stopped already in the pit lane. The man that is the important part to him right now is that man. It's Gerald Fourie. It's Daniel Lamprecht that's on his way out of the pits, but I think Gerald Fourie is going to do it. Gerald Fourie comes flying past and Gerald Fourie goes to the lead. Daniel Lamprecht, will he be ahead of Timothy Stanton? Yes, he is. Timothy Stanton barely ahead of Luke Lukizi. So Luke Lukizi now finds himself on the split. Oh, look at that. How's that for the perfect cutback? Luke Lukizi goes one up. Well, in all real terms, Luke Lukizi is pretty much the fastest man out there. He's best at 138.54. Nobody else has broken the 39s. The closest to the 39 or to the 38s is a 39.07. So that's a half a second is the quickest lap time of Luke Lukizi as opposed to the quickest lap time of Gerald Fourie. But having said all that, if you put it into perspective, Gerald Fourie has got a 3-second gap on Daniel Lamprecht, who's got a 1.3 second on Luke Lukizi. Wow, Daniel Lamprecht, what a boyki. And that's ahead of Timothy Stanton. Let's have another look at that. Luke Lukizi's run towards the front end of the pack. He passed JJ van der Merwe on that corner. Going down the straight. We'll probably find it's going to be the exact same spot on that corner. He's got that one down to a T. Then we saw him pass, that was Peter van der Spey. Then we saw him pass Timothy Stanton on that corner. So keep it in mind, because that is the strong point for Luke Lukizi, passing everybody pretty much on the same spot. But you first got to catch that man before you can actually try and pull that passing maneuver. Gerald Fourie is putting up some stunning times. It's keeping a 3.5 second gap from Daniel Lamprecht. Daniel Lamprecht, I'm going to say Timothy Stanton is probably driver of race number 1. If Neil carries on doing what he's doing, I'm going to make him the driver of the day for race number 2, because to hold out onto the back end of Gerald Ferry to within less than 3.5 seconds with more than half of the race gone is astounding. To be able to remain ahead of Luke Lekisi, and you see the moves that Luke Lekisi has pulled on everybody. Let's see if Luke Lekisi is going to do the same thing to Daniel Lamprecht. Will this be the 4th car that he passes? No, I think he's too far back. I cannot see him. He's going to have to do some amazing 2 corners to be able to do the dive on Neil. There's part 1, part 2, and here's his favorite spot. He goes for it, but this time it doesn't work. So, victim number 4 almost falling for the Luke Lekisi cutback, but Luke now gets it up on the inside line of Daniel Lamprecht. 18 minutes in. Luke, you've gotten past everybody. It's just Gerald that's still up front. Your fastest lap time is the better part of 0.51 of a second quicker than his best. But 7 minutes, is that enough time to maybe get to the back end of Gerald, given his present pace?
It's going to be difficult, especially with the tires going off.
Can you actually feel those tires going off with the way that iRacing setup is on this GTE Porsche right now?
Yeah, you can.
So you think you've already done your fastest lap on the
Yes.
tires that you've got right now?
Yeah, no, we won't be doing fastest laps anymore now.
Brilliant dive there by Daniel Lamprecht, as well as we leave the guys to concentrate on what they're doing out there. Daniel Lamprecht doing a lovely drive, staying ahead of the high-flying Timothy Stanton as well. So let's look at the last lap times that has just been put up now. Okay, remember there was a passing maneuver that was done now by Luke Lekisi as well. So 39.5 and 39.8. But there was that pass as well. There was a slipstream from Neil, and there was the pass on Neil. So this will be the first one-on-one with 4 laps to go. Now 3.9 seconds. That means Luke Lekisi's got to take a second a lap out of Gerald Ferry. I personally don't think that is possible. You see that puff of smoke as he locked up the left-hand front wheel, and they work their way through Craig Jones up towards Portimao. Through Portimao they go. Lovely full grandstands there as well. He's got to take a second out of Gerald Ferry. You don't take a second out of Gerald Ferry unless Gerald Ferry makes it. Oh, Timothy Stanton going one-on-one with Neil. Neil's going to do the fight back on the outside line, but I think Timothy Stanton might just be able to get it on this corner. Wow, Neil's fighting for this one. Now he's on the inside line. He's not going to give that away. Timothy Stanton stuck on that outside line, and Neil's holding on. Neil is holding on. What a titanic struggle this one. Timothy Stanton and Neil Lamprecht, the two of them really giving it hammer and tongs. Immediately Neil goes across to the inside line, knowing that Timothy got slightly better drive out of the corner. Now Timothy saw how he was passed by Luke Lekisi. Is he going to try and do the same, or is he just going to try and go right around the outside of Neil? Is what he does. And Timothy Stanton holds on to that 3rd position. I'm going to hazard a guess, looking at the visual gap from our induction noise blimp, that Luke Lekisi probably took about 4 to 5 tenths of a second on the last lap from Gerald Ferry. A 39.5 and a 35.9, exactly that. 4 tenths, it's not enough. You've got to do double that plus a smidgen if you want to get to Gerald. Gerald is doing it all right. There is a Luke Lucchese, and there is Gerald Fourie as we look down on the Algarve circuit on these Porsche GTEs piloted by South Africa's best, Gerald Fourie. Now, Frankie Innes was Mike Sidey would say in the pink pig. There comes Luke Lucchese. And there's only 3 minutes to go. Gerald will be keeping it nice and smooth. And even with the pressure that is being put on him by Luke Lucchese, who is definitely on a flyer, he's probably taken another 4 tenths there. 139.2, a 138.8 to the nearest, 4 tenths. That's the best that Luke Lucchese can do, because Gerald Fourie is doing amazingly quick lap times. But look at that battle behind that. Timothy Stanton and Neil, and closing down from behind is JJ. Right there. Oh, just a little bit too loud on the brake pedal, locking up that inside right front wheel. So tantalizingly close for JJ. He can see them, he can smell their exhaust gases, but with just 2 minutes to go, he needs something to happen in front of him. He's not going to be able to make up that gap all by himself. They are just too quick. They need to get side by side and fight one another and lose a bit of ground for JJ to come into play. 23 minutes, 22 seconds. And Neil's got the pressure on to Timothy. JJ's dying 1,000 deaths as the clock's ticking away. He knows, oh, that's what he needs. That's what he needs. Neil has a look on the outside line. Now you'll do that proverbial cutback. No, still can't do it. Timothy's quick enough to hold Neil at this point. JJ saying, come on, fight one another, give it a go, guys. This will probably be the white flag lap. I cannot see they're going to make another one after this. There's only 45 seconds left. So we're right on board with JJ van der Merwe. Don't forget about Gerald Fourie. He was 3.8 ahead. He's now 2.6 ahead. Daniel's changing his lines. Neil is doing every trick in the book. JJ is holding on. Slightest error, that's all is go. Oh, Daniel has a look once again for that inside line. JJ should have made use of that one and done the perfect corner to make up that little bit of a gap. But when you see that opportunity, you go for that line straight away, tending to go a little bit too deep into the corners at this stage of the fight in pure desperation to do that late braking to get just a little bit closer. But this one's going to go all the way down to the line. We'll watch it as long as we can, but we've got to go back to the leader, because Gerald Fourie is on the last. Oh, look at that. It is so close. But it's going to be Gerald Fourie that's going to take it. Gerald Fourie, brilliant drive by Gerald Fourie. Holds out on the closing Luke Lucchese. Timothy Stanton. Brilliant stuff, Timothy Stanton from Daniel Lovebrecht. JJ van der Merwe right in there behind that. And that's just ahead of Captain Peter van der Spey. The recovering Leon van Wyk. We didn't have much chance to see Leon at all in this one, unfortunately. Well, in fact, you know what? He is on the last lap. It's still a long way back. Gerald Fourie just cruising around. Happy chappy gonna work his way back to the pits as Leon van Wyk still got to finish his last lap with Leonardo Bakari. There comes Leonardo. The sole Ferrari out there. It's our last two cars out on circuit. And he'll come through to take that checkered flag. And then Leonardo Bakari. Right, let's have a look at the results. So, in the feature race, we just see now Gerald Ferry from Luke Lucchese, Timothy Stanton, Daniel Lampras, JJ van Amava. You know what? There was a faultless drive by Gerald Ferry. I think we got to give Gerald Ferry driver of the day. Hardest trier coming from a long way back. Luke Lucchese did brilliantly. Timothy Stanton actually also deserves driver of the day for both races. Okay, let's put it this way. Driver of the feature race, Gerald. Hardest trier, Luke. Overall driver of the day must be a tie between Timothy Stanton and Daniel Lamprat. Let's just go back to that heat number 1. See if I'm correct. Difficult one to call. Daniel Lamprat, Timothy Stanton. Daniel Lamprat, Timothy Stanton. I think we're going to have to give overall driver of the day. Overall driver of the day, Timothy Stanton. Driver for the feature race, Gerald Ferry. Hardest trier, Luke Lucchese. And yeah, it's so close, it's very difficult. Either way, folks, I hope you enjoyed that one. And a big thanks to our sponsor, Induction Noise, for helping us to make it all possible. And we will be coming back to you next week, same time, when we go for the next round of Western Province Sports and GT Masters and Grand Masters. I really hope you guys have enjoyed your time with us this evening, and we look forward to seeing you same time next week. From our side, Gary Fleming from Second Gear Productions. Been an honor and a pleasure to be with you. Cheers, everybody.